to this week's episode of Diesel and the Beard.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited 2021 preseason KFFL Dynasty rankings, bet talk, everything you need right here with your host, me, the Wiz, my esteemed colleague, AJ the Beard Wilson, with the four-piece chicken nugget hanging off his fucking hand. Unbelievable. This year's
Welcome back.
Wow. Okay.
Welcome back.
I'll give it to him. You know what? Let me get this out of the way because I'm not going to give him much more love for the rest of the fucking year. He's got the trophy. He's got the rings. He's looking for that fifth and final thumb piece for the Thanos rock. And
if you've been following us, you know the Thanos rock is the rock. It's the fifth stone. You know what? One sec.
Oh God, this
just arrived from our friends in California at fantasyjocks.com. We've got a great relationship. We've been ordering all of our hardware since the dawn of this great league. So This is in essence because of the double down I threw down last year. It just makes sense that there's two trophies on this thing. So this is what we're playing for. This is in essence the fifth and final Thanos rock that we are trying to. That won't be removed from there. Such bad luck.
So for exterior members, this podcast, it was something that started off with our league of record, the KFFL in Kingston. It's been up and running for a decade now, officially.
Yeah. Next month it'll be literally 10 years.
10 years.
We have completed 10 seasons. So
yes. And what's happened now is we did the podcast for the guys in the league, and we're starting to get some outside people asking us questions. So we're going to use this podcast as a bit of a platform. We're going to talk a lot about the KFFL, but I think this year we're transitioning more to dynasty rankings. We're going to talk more about player values and boomer bust guys and a lot of opinion pieces. And now that sports betting is becoming legal pretty much across all of North America, we're going to have a segment at the probably back end of the episodes where it's going to just be sports betting talk. So once I upload this to YouTube, you'll be able to kind of just sort through by chapter. If you don't want to hear the KFFL, our league stuff, you just want to hear maybe our dynasty rankings or our player rankings or our boomer bust reports or rookie reports of that stuff. And then at the end, we're going to have betting. So there's a little bit for everybody here, I think. And it'll just kind of sum up all our football talk in one easy podcast.
Yeah, it'll be like a melting pot of great minds over a decade, as mentioned, of experience. And as you can see, I've taken home 4 titles. I'll take these off now. It's getting a little heavy. I don't want one forearm to be that much larger than the other one. So, you got to really spread it out.
I have one of those rings, and I've been to 3 other finals that I've lost.
Let's zoom in there. I don't know if the camera is going to be able to get that. At the top there.
First name 10 years ago. It's been too long, but at least I'm on the.
There it is, right there at the top.
There it is. Dorian Hartley.
Oh, you see those two there.
Then AJ Wilson, and then Edward, who is returning this year. Kyle Silva back when he managed his own team. Corey Loudon got one. Ed got a second. And Chad got one, and also AJ. Chad is left, and Ed is in. So Ed is kind of the bad guy of the league from years past. And he's
the heel. We'll call him the heel. And that's a perfect segue into our season opening here because with Ed back, I think that's a good thing for the league. It's a change. It's not the only change. There are a few others. I'll flow right into this, Dorian. We've got an extra week added to the schedule.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You want to explain that?
Yeah, I will actually. I was not expecting that. And so, I was fully prepared to just kind of say, week 18, bye-bye. along with week 17. But NFL.com is being sort of inclusive with those weeks. So our season now runs until week 14. It's still a 3-week, 15, 16, 17. And then that last week, which was 17 last year, is now 18 we don't use. So, essentially, I think what's happening is they're trying to build value into the schedule being extended, because I think a lot of people are really initially looking at it like I was, where you see the end of the schedule and you're kind of like, if you're in, you're in. Right. But I don't think that's what's going to be happening. So we'll see how it goes this year. The schedule has been amended. Essentially, we just added another identical schedule week as week 3 to the end. But just for everyone to kind of be able to, reevaluate the strength of schedule, et cetera, because again, if you were looking at the end of the schedule not being valuable, it will be. So
that last week where normally we would be already done, like the championship we normally have week 17 is now 18, right?
That's right.
That correct?
That's right. That's right.
The teams, we've always said this, by week 17, sometimes you got guys that are sitting, you got guys that are resting, you got teams that are in, teams that are out, which kind of could throw a curveball. Week 18 now, you might see that even harder. You're in a finals week and you got a team loaded of, let's just say, KC and Mahomes is sitting and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is sitting and Kelsey's sitting and your team's stacked there. Holy smokes, you almost got to prepare for that. That's the
whole other wrinkle. And the other thing is, I've pretty much timed the market in the KFFL. And if you're in another league where you've got some chemistry and it's a dynasty league where you can trade future picks, which we do and we can, end of September, beginning of October with the old schedule length was kind of when people would turn that corner. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm selling off. But with that extra week, I don't know. Like, it's going to throw everything off. I think, you've probably got guys that are going to hold out hope a little more, instead of lighting the match, right away. It'll be interesting to see. So that's not the only change. So the trade deadline this year, mark it down. I'm saying it here. I'll do one post and that's all you'll get because it is in the rules. November 26th, 2021. As always, if you mention you're doing a trade to me via text or DM, I'll definitely let that through prior to midnight.
Remember the 26th of November. You're still going to get assholes. What do you mean, bro? What do you mean the trade deadline?
Well, Chad's gone, so we might be all right there.
Man? What does it matter if I do it on the 26th or the 27th?
You've done that. You have done that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, whatever I need to do, I need to do.
That's right.
And
that's right.
I have been the asshole for sure because sometimes you get busy, the trade deadline.
Yeah.
That's actually what happened the one year. I was just busy with work. And then I was like, I got all day to deal with this. Then the day gets away from you and it's fucking 11 at night. And I'm like, oh my God, I wanted to make one or two moves.
Absolutely, man.
But you've been pretty good. If you got something in the works and you're pretty good about it.
Absolutely, man. Listen, the league's supposed to be fun, man. Like, there's rules and all that. But, like, at the end of the day, like, I've got this pretty well oiled in terms of the back end. So if you let me know, we're good. So
Yeah.
Now, moving on to the final intro piece here. So the draft, we're going to be doing a live draft. I've got that fully cleared with the Fractal Workspace Lounge. So we're going to have the whole area to ourselves, private seating. There's going to be a draft room display that has the live draft board with ticker. There's going to be walkout music. So every owner that comes has to submit 3 songs. I'll load them up and you're going to get your first 3 picks. That music is going to be bumping. So make sure it's something that has an impact and we'll make sure to get that rolling. There's also a gift box for each owner. So we're going to be, providing each previous champion with a championship banner with the year that they won. So Dorian, you've got a 2011.
Cool.
We got a few others. And so we're going to try and make it fun. We're using fan draft, as I said. So it's going to be interactive. So I know for some of you that aren't attending, you're going to still be able to fully interact via the software. So we'll see you. There's special effects that you can throw down at each person's pick if you want to basically just chirp the shit out of somebody for a CJ2K11 type overall pick, Loudon.
You'll never live that down, eh?
No, that was bad.
That's good. No, that's cool. I like that. I like the draft thing. We should maybe have someone filming some of it just for some media clips for the Facebook page.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I think we need to also, there was discussions about the league's worst player having to suffer some sort of humiliation. We never fully addressed that.
Well, the boudoir shoot was funny, but like nobody would really do that.
I 100%
So-
would, but I'm like that kind of guy. I'm comfortable enough with it. I don't know if Ed would do a boudoir shoot. He would be
He's got
highly
an
embarrassed.
OnlyFans account.
But maybe something for draft day, something in terms of the outfit you need to wear or something along those lines. I don't know. We'll discuss that further closer to draft day.
Done.
So what else do we have in the opening?
I think that's pretty much it. The first topic on the docket is going to be grading the trades that have happened so far.
Yeah.
There's been two trades. Yeah. So I'm interested to see what you think, and obviously we're going to spark some additional commentary, I'm sure. But the first trade I want to hear about is the trade between the duo and Craig. Craig obviously having the stockpile of picks makes it easy for him to get what he wants. But the trade was Silver received the 24th overall, 25th overall, so a second and a third round pick in exchange for Scary Terry McLaurin and a 7-7, so a 78-79 overall.
Are we just calling Silva and Nielsen just Silva now?
The duo, sorry. I just
I don't know if we actually transitioned to that yet.
No. That's definitely a Nielsen-owned, Silva-managed, Nielsen co-managed. I don't know.
Like Nielsen's like John Gruden, or sorry, Silva's like John Gruden, and Nielsen's like Mark Davis.
Mark, yeah.
Better haircut.
God, he's an ugly man. Sorry, dude, but he looks like that thing from the Goonies, man.
Hey, you guys. I've been where Nielsen and Silva are. It sucks. Based on there's this ebb and flow of draft picks, and at this time of year, you take what you can get for guys you're going to have to drop anyways. So, if this was, post draft, I'd be like, what an absolute fucking raping. I still think Craig did very good to get a top tier receiver. What McLaren's done with no real quarterback over the last few years, and now Fitzmagic comes in, who loves going to his number one guy. In years past, throws the ball a whack. Gonna learn the playbook quick. I think Craig did amazing to get McLaren, really did. But Silva and Nielsen, they're gonna be holding a bag full of keepers too, so they got to get rid of. And I've been there where you're like, okay, I've got these keepers, and I don't mind losing these ones, but that's never the ones that people want. They go for guys that probably would be in your final five. So I'm gonna say Craig got the best player here, and Silva and Nielsen are just they got some picks. Whoever they draft at the 2-2, unless it's like a rookie that just breaks out, they're not going to replace that McLaren value, in my opinion. So.
Well, and that's I think the main commentary there is that when you're pre-draft like we are, and people are looking at players like McLaren, who if you were to try and get him after the draft, you'd be paying ones wouldn't get him.
Yeah, multiple ones,
right?
Probably,
so for any of the newer guys or anybody in other leagues, timing is everything. If you want to be strategic in a rebuild, the minute you want to rebuild, which is mid-season, don't run at the guy you want.
Right.
You don't need him right now. Have some patience. Identify guys that may be considered in excess. Because if you want to just take a quick look here at Silva and Nielsen, their keeper list. If you were to say that, who are they keeping? Well, I'd say they're going to keep of five. Let's just throw five out there. Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, A.J. Brown, Patrick Mahomes, and DeAndre Hopkins. So we've got, David Montgomery and one of J.K. Dobbins or someone I mentioned,
Mixon
So you've
also.
Mixon, Montgomery, or Dobbins. Two of those three are going to be dropped, are going to be moved. And so anyone out there looking for running backs, Silva and I have talked about this. I'm trying to make a move involving Henry and Adams going out. And I think what's happened, like I was mentioning a few minutes ago, as we get closer to the draft, the picks become the value is unrivaled. Right. Getting a Lamar Jackson, I got a 3 for him. And that was I was bumping against the ceiling there. Now I know quarterback is a deep position,
Yeah.
but timing is everything.
It is, and I'm kind of. It's hard because I love getting deals done, but it's there's at the peak of the draft low and the peak of the draft high is too hard sometimes to get.
Oh yeah, it is.
It just really is. Like what I'm being offered for my borderline guys is disgusting, and when post draft,
What are you being offered for Julio?
I've had some tire kickers on him. I mean, I'm not like desperate. I think he's going to be a good production guy there. I think he's really going to do well in the number 2
If he stays
spot.
healthy, man. If he stays healthy. Excuse me. If he stays healthy, I think that he really honestly could have a top 10 season.
You know, it's gonna come down to touchdowns. He's got to get those touchdowns going because he's not been a touchdown guy as of late. He's always like 15 catches for 120 yards, no TDs. He starts adding some TDs into those numbers.
100%.
It's going to be good. And
100%.
I mean, everyone's coming after Akers and stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's a hard time of year, right? It's a hard time of year. The picks they're so like, and I don't even love the picks that much. Like, okay, the absolute best player in the draft, you go 1-1, you take Najee. Okay.
I mean,
cool.
that's
that's a year wait. It's a year wait. We've been through this. We've seen it all before. We had this conversation last year about Clyde Edwards-Helaire and how
this is different.
Stepping into an offense that was literally a fucking running away locomotive, and he had an average fucking year. In fact, he wasn't.
That's the thing with rookies. That's the thing with rookies. You really don't know. You know, I mean, you have high
Who blew you away? Because like, okay, it's not fair to pick on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Well,
James
Jonathan
Robinson.
Taylor, yeah, he did blow people away last year, but he wasn't even on anyone's draft board. Like he was a fucking. I think you found him week 3.
I plucked him. 4? Oh no, week 1 before the season started. I just plucked him. I was like, I just did that, and we can talk about this. I just, one thing, not to get too far off track, but one thing I did a few years ago, and I've discussed it in previous episodes, is I analyzed the top 10 running backs from the previous year versus the year before that to see what sort of percentage of changeover. Mm-hmm. And 6 of 10 didn't repeat. And so when I identified that type of volatility in the top performers at the position, that's a high churn rate. That's a high turnover rate.
So 6 of 10 didn't get back into the top 10 year 2.
That's right. Wow. And so when you see that type of there's opportunity there, and so what do? I mean, I'm into a rebuild, so I've got guys performing, so I'm forced to use guys use picks on handcuffs. But if you're out there trying to score value with later picks, it's Chuba Hubbard, a guy like that who is behind CMC, who CMC is a beast and probably will play, but if he gets hurt, these are these late guys who. Chuba Hubbard takes a top 10 role. He finishes in the top 10. You didn't see him the year before, right? And so, James.
This goes back to sometimes it's not the best to have a highly front end heavy draft because you're forced to take the highly toted, the highly sought after. You have to take Najee 1-2 or 1-1 or 1-2. Like he's not going to slide. And you're forced to take these guys. Whereas sometimes you have a draft and your draft doesn't start to the 3rd or 4th. And then you got to reach on these backup guys that end up getting a starting role. And it's actually better. But I saw it last year. I wanted all the running back. I wanted Swift. I wanted Akers. I wanted Taylor. I wanted fucking. I got Akers. And I've waited.
You avoided landmines. You avoided landmines. You discussed Swift, I believe.
I was on the. I liked Swift. I hated Detroit. If Swift had been on a lot of other teams, I'm taking Swift there. But I just like that LA offense. I mean, I even like it more now with Stafford.
It looks good now.
Yeah, Detroit is just one of those teams you don't want to touch. For me.
Okay, let's put a bookmark on that till because we're going to discuss. I want to get into the dynasty rankings with you a little bit later. I want to just say in that first trade there, I honestly to put a bow on that McLaren for the 2-3. That trade was an absolute steal for Craig. That's the type of move that a franchise needs when they're rebuilding. And so moving into trade 2, it involves Craig as well.
Yeah,
so what I did was I'm not keeping Lamar Jackson. I understand the depth of the quarterback pool, especially with the rookies that I really fancy from last year and this year. I'm not going to name any names, but I feel like with my poor draft class, I'm going to be forced to grab a rookie, and I'm okay with that. So I moved Lamar Jackson in my last pick in the draft, the 11th round, 123, for Craig's last pick, which kind of ties into what you were saying there, Dorian, because his last pick, he had done so well with this draft class last year via trade.
Yeah.
I got a 335 out of him. Like, that's his last pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if he hadn't done the trade to get that good a value, you know, I probably would have been forced to take a 5 there, and I would have been okay with that, right? Because I'm not keeping Lamar.
Yeah.
So it ties into that. It ties right back into that. It's like you can almost have a draft that's too good, you know?
I mean, I think the thing you did that was good was probably convincing Craig that you were keeping Lamar, because
I did keep him last year. I think that helped me.
But I think everyone can look at your team and see that the only weak spot of your team week in and week out was Lamar Jackson with his 18 to 25 points when other QBs are going nuclear in the era of throwing. Yes, he's a running back, and yes, he'll get you that running bonus, and I get that.
That's what it was.
Could Craig
100%.
not have easily drafted Lamar in the fucking whatever position near the end of his draft and not really have to give up any draft capital to you, unless he's worried someone else is going to roll in and snake him? But if he thought someone was going to roll in and snake him, he would know that you would have talked to every owner about moving him already. So
I don't think he was worried about that. Yeah, thank you. I honestly think that when it comes right down to it, his keepers were so bad that the point you make about not having to keep him, normally someone would have had to drop someone, and that would have unbalanced that equation for me, you know?
Right.
But he was dropping Denzel Mims.
Yeah.
Denzel Mims should never. I think he's the WR 130. No. He's not being kept in a 60 keeper league.
You said dropping. You meant keeping. I know. So here's the other thing I'll say. I will not be 100% surprised if Craig ends up dropping Lamar before draft.
Come on, man.
I have a feeling, man. The training camp news starts to break in late August, and fucking Trevor with the red hair starts slinging bullets all around the field. I don't know. Maybe he keeps him just because he has to now, but I could see Craig moving and getting a different piece and drafting a younger quarterback. Or maybe one of these resurgence guys, because there's all kinds of resurgence guys that are going to have something right now. Fitzpatrick wouldn't be a good stack for McLaren. Like, we want to hate on Fitzpatrick because he's a journeyman, but he puts up fucking fantasy points.
Those are good options. And this is, to be honest, man, you're literally like just nailing in the confirmation for me. Like, this is how deep the quarterback pool is in 2021.
Oh my God, dude. I would 100% rather draft fucking Matt Stafford in the 6th round before I take
I might do it, man.
You should.
I might do it, man.
Me too, man. I like, those are the plays you got to look at. But
oh man, if I didn't have Henry, I would have already traded or tried to get my hands on a Ryan Tannehill level draft pick. You'll probably get him in the 2nd round. Man, I think that he's going to be, one of those stuff. I have Henry, so it's not a play for me.
Yeah.
Scotty, my daughter agrees. Yep, she's throwing down too.
Oh, good. Good. We'll get her input later.
So what'd you give me on that trade? If you were to give me a grade on the paper?
Honestly, I don't want to be. I'm not political, so I'm not like middle of the road trying to like fucking. If I think something shit, I'll call someone out.
No, you do. That's why I want to hear it.
I think honestly, that's the best you could have done with him. So that's a really good move for you.
Yeah,
but I also think it's good for Craig because it gives him an option at that position anyways. So I don't think anyone lost. If I was you, I'd rather be on your end of it, get rid of him and like, okay, now I've opened up a world of opportunities at the QB position. I don't 100%. Have to be fucking stuck to this because I'm scared. So I would rather be on your side of it because I personally wouldn't keep Lamar Jackson, especially going into this draft, even with his team.
It was a mistake last year when I did it. I moved Aaron Jones. I should have kept Aaron Jones, done something like that. But you live and learn, man. The key is to stay like I've heard other guys say. You got to stay liquid. You got to be able to flow from one player, one position to another year to year. I went back to back in 12-13 with an AP Marchand, Jimmy, Jordy Rogers core, and that core went from dominant to AP's beating his children with forestry and Marchand's turning into a stegosaurus.
Oh, man. But
Man,
if you look at the two trades as a whole, how much better did Craig's keepers get for a 2-2-3?
Oh,
He gets
yeah.
fucking a clear cut WR1 and probably a tier 3 quarterback that's gonna probably, I mean, can he pop off? Yeah. He starts slinging some touchdowns and having 100 rushing yard games, he could be huge. So for a 2-2-3, I think the upgrade, if you look at it as a whole, Craig did very well in both trades. I just personally, I'm on the Lamar train. I'm off of it. I was never on it, actually. If you want to go back, the running quarterbacks that are too dependent on run or run first, they just they never stick around long.
So. And that's I think why I had to get away from it. So this actually leads perfectly into our next segment. If we threw it together here, it's called the Draftscape discussion. Yeah. The draft is a huge part of our league. Everyone knows it. If you're part of a dynasty league, you know, one of the most exciting things that you can really offer in that type of a league is the commerce, you know, the off-site, offline commerce. You know, we have, I have a line in the water with every single owner, and probably you do too, Dorian. Yeah. You know, and so I went through, you know, 3 years ago, just 3 years ago, I was the second worst team in the league, but I had mortgaged my future to acquire studs, and that started the rebuild.
Right.
So I think it's important for us to, you know, spend a little time here and break down some of these guys, because you really can go from second worst to back-to-back championships.
Yeah, you really can. I mean, it's quick. You can turn around quick if you need a little bit of luck and a little bit of balls. Yep. The only time I can't stand, the only thing you can't do in a fantasy league, and I'll say this about any football, hockey, baseball, you can't stay stagnant. Sometimes you got to just shake it up. Sometimes you got to move things around. You don't want to just get this 5 guys you love because you end up watching more fucking Jacksonville Jaguar games because you have fucking whoever. Like, so then you start becoming a fan, and everyone does it. I've been guilty of this in the past, and I've broken away from that. And since I've broken away from that, you know, you can't be scared to make a move. One move's not going to crush you. Throughout the whole course of the season, when you boil down points versus points, and like, you know, if you make a bad trade and you realize it's bad, well, then you just make the next trade to kind of bring it back to even again. There's got to be some fluidity, because if you get stagnant, you die. It's like riding a bike. If you're not moving, you're falling over. So
100%, man. 100%. I mean, that leads us perfectly into this. So the first guy I want to talk about, because he literally is the opposite of stagnant. Stagnant to me is that it's that bird feeder in your grandma's backyard that is filled with water from before you were born.
Oh, yeah.
And it's created like a film over the top,
Musty.
Right? Like it's ice, but it's not ice.
No,
it's something else.
Scummy.
Scum.
Yeah, pond
and
scum.
If you're stagnant, you're fantasy scum.
Yeah, you're scummy.
And so when you see a guy like Craig, he acquired the 1-1.
Yeah.
The 1-4, the 1-9, and the 1-11.
He blew it up. He blew his team up. He blew his team up, and good for him, because he was the only one that could. And he moved guys he liked. He's a Packer fan, and he moved on from Aaron Jones, which is extremely hard to do. When you have your running back for your team in fantasy, that's a hard thing to do. So he really blew it up and started fresh. So it's gonna be time to shine year for Craig. The real question is, does he draft young studs that he can throw into the stable? He's got it. Or does he draft some guys that are going to start producing day one? Like McLaren's going to produce day one for sure. But he's going in next year with Jerry Jeudy, 22 years old. He's got a Michael Pittman, 23 years old. Lamar Jackson, this is really the make or break year for him at 24. And so does he just go probably Najee? I mean, it's no surprise he's going to the best.
He's going to take Najee. 100% he takes Najee. I think, and I've got the rankings here. So I've put a little cheat sheet for myself together, and I banged off everyone's keepers.
Yeah,
so the top 2 players
years passed, and we talk about like, well, maybe he doesn't. You know, who knows who takes first? But
he's taken Najee. He's already told me he's not moving the 1-1. I dangled Derrick Henry in front of him. Craig, if you're listening, we've talked, and it was just a shutdown, and that's fine. I understand. Why do you think I want Najee? I'm not one of those guys that's going to try and put down your choice because I want it. Those days are gone. 2011 came and went. Okay.
I think I could have had Najee, but I would have had to give Akers. And so it's like Akers was Najee lot. Like I've already waited. Yeah. I've waited for the bottle of wine to ferment for a year. Now it's drinkable. I don't want to trade you a drinkable bottle of wine for another one I got to store on a shelf for a year and let ferment. So,
I
but I
think
think I
that-
could have had the 1-1. But is it all that fun, really? No, I don't want to wait
I mean,
anymore.
the pressure, man. Honestly, like I've never had it in this league. I've never had a 1-1, but I'll tell you, I've watched guys with it. I've watched guys win the championship on draft day, and I've watched guys flush the next 3 years on draft day.
Yeah.
So, I've seen Craig has had great drafts. Craig was in the finals in 2018. So, like, we can't, you can't write the guy's pedigree off. He's an OG owner that, I've seen Craig. He's beaten me. He's had years where he's done much better than me.
I think Craig's a good owner. I think he's.
Let's take a look at who's going to be available for him. Like, I'd love to just do a quick I've got the rankings in front of me. So let's just say I'm just going to do the 1, the 4, the 9, and the 11. Okay. So if you go so what I'm looking at here is the 1, Najee Harris. At 4, he'd have his look at a guy like Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp. At 9, he'd have his look at a guy like Mike Davis, Chase Claypool, Cortland Sutton, Jamar Chase, maybe. And then at 11, he's going to have a guy like Raheem Mostert, Juju Smith-Schuster, or Deebo Samuel. Maybe he takes a guy like TJ Hawkinson. At the end of the day, if he ended up with Raheem Mostert, Jamar Chase, Najee Harris, and Robert Woods, I mean, he's immediately upgraded his keepers for next year. 4 keepers right there.
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant.
I don't have that list, so I can't really, but
I can't give anyone this list. This is a secret weapon here, bro.
I know.
It's a rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole. No, I make my own, but yeah, I mean, those 4 guys is a game changer. He's got to be a contender.
Man,
yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, with this type of draft, there's not every, I'm not saying this is the blind blueprint and do this every year. There's been years where it's like there's no one. The keepers are so even across. But we've got a league of aggressive owners that are mortgaging futures to compete now, and then excess keepers get thrown off their ledger at the end of the season, like we talked about. So, I'll break down the top 10. DeAndre Hopkins, Najee Harris, David Montgomery, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks, Jamar Chase, Mike Davis, and Cortland Sutton. I don't know how many that was, but those are the guys available. How many of those guys are from the duo?
Last year's rookie class was so fucking explosive that I think a lot of guys reached on rookies, and they're holding those rookies going to this year. And I think a lot of those early producing vets are in that top 10, right? Because
100%.
normally guys just keep guy, but like I did a breakdown of the average age of everyone's keepers. I wanted to see where everyone sat. And I was looking at the average age, and like a lot of these teams are really young, man. There's some really young overall, like the 5 keepers, medium age. And I was like shocked. I was like, fuck, this is
who's the youngest?
I was gonna say, who do you think's the youngest?
That's a really good question. Let me just take a quick peek here. I think that
it surprised me, actually. I mean, maybe it's not that surprising since we're on.
I think I might be the youngest.
No, you are not. It is Craig.
Wow.
I mean,
that doesn't surprise me. Honestly, right now,
Craig is tied with Powell. They're both 23.6 based on the keepers I have for them now. And I had Craig's keepers as Lamar Jackson, Michael Pittman, Jerry Jeudy, Terry McLaurin, and maybe Damian Harris, which is 24. And then you have Cody Powell. He's got George Kittle at 27. But then he goes Miles Sanders, 24, DeAndre Swift, 22, DK Metcalf, 23, and Jefferson at 22. And they were both 23.6. You're in the older half of the league. Ooh, who do you think's the oldest?
My brother.
Your brother. He is Joker. 26 is the average, which is pretty high. I'm the oldest.
Yeah.
If Rodgers comes back. Comes back. Julio,
you've also got some young guys, but I want to go back to Powell for a second, because if we're going to be digging into the draftscape, Powell is, he's got He's got a decent start with the 7 overall, 16 overall, 18 overall. So I look at that landscape in the draft as you're going to be able to get a difference maker. You're going to be able to definitely get a starter. You know, for instance, he's going to be picking in range of where Steph Diggs went. You know, definitely within range of where I got Will Fuller last year. You know, so if you had taken a Steph Diggs and a Will Fuller, but with 2 of those 3 picks, you would have been laughing.
Well,
You'd have just
and
been
he's young
laughing.
enough. He's young enough, right? So the reason I do this is I know where I need to be drafting. Right now, Rodgers is 37. That kills my average. If I plug in a rookie there, I'm actually decent. I'm around the average. But Rodgers and Julio bring me up for age. But
Right.
I look at Powell, and Powell is one of the youngest teams. He's tied for the youngest team, which to me says you can draft some older guys, and you're going to be fine because you're balancing. You don't want to be too young, because those guys don't always perform week in and week out. You don't want to be too old because there's no longevity with your team. But if I'm looking at this and I'm Powell and I got a young team, I'm not telling anyone how to draft, but 100% go get some guys that are going to put up points right away. Some of those 27-year-old vets, and your rosters are going to be good for it because he's still got the youth.
He can.
And I have to go young. I'm the oldest fucker here now. So now guys I was targeting for trades, everything's been changed. I'm redoing everything, man. Like
good.
I gotta find new strategies to keep ahead because I was the first guy that was like, fuck the draft. I would sell everything for key guys. Now everyone's doing that. It's like, I got to come up with something new. And I've been tinkering with stuff over the years, but nothing's been a home run yet.
The strategies have just fluctuated, right? Like back in the day, you know, I remember distinctly running with this. It was the double stack. You'd have the quarterback receiver. It sounds basic now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, you know, if you were Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson deep, like I was throwing double TDs down on people like it was my job. I had that 57-point comeback on Monday Night Football against Cody back in 2014, and he just fucking went night-night. It was bad for his
like
soul,
the Plinko ball falling into the jackpot hole. Ding, ding.
But yeah, man. So the strategies have changed, and so. You know, I look at this year. So let's jump to number 2, actually, because what is Rosie going to do with that 2nd overall? So many options. You know, we talked about the stacking. Well, is he going to stack his Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase? He's got T. Higgins, right?
Are we going to have 3? So then
does he go position? Well, does he go position an E? This is, you know, like him and I very rarely talk. This is probably more advice he'll get from me than we do in real person, to be honest. But David Montgomery, Travis Etienne, like those are guys, if you're drafting for need, because obviously his running back situation is dire, you know, then he would go there. But, you know, if you're picking 2nd overall and Najee is gone, who do you like, you know, who do you think, you know, if you were given the 2nd, who would you take?
Well, I'm not going to say who I would take because I don't want to give that to Rosie, but I'm saying there's a lot of options open to him. And I think this draft is actually good for some depth guys. I think he needs to look at his immediate keepers now and make some changes because I think Jamar Chase would be a good guy to have, but you got to trade Higgins.
There's a tense pause in the league right now. Like I've had 3 different owners come to me. Not for draft or not for trade talks. It's been what's going on. It's been like guys aren't pulling triggers right now. And it's like, because once this pod drops, the primer gets updated and everybody kind of buys into the preseason hype once it starts to get, you know, advertised.
The training camps will start rolling out. And I mean, Travis Etienne, no one's researched this guy more than me after I went out and got fucking James Robinson, right? He's like the threat there now, right? Why did they draft this guy? And you know, I'm not going to give all my opinion on him, but I would just say he's going to be a scat back guy. Urban Myers has got a whole new plan for that offense.
TJ Yeldon, man. They've already had a guy like that. TJ Yeldon. Do you remember him?
And Myers is like all fast and likes to be fucking crazy and blah, blah, blah. And Etienne was lining up for 75% of his offensive snaps in the X receiver position and their mini camps. So that's a guy I think Rosie should just kind of find a direction for his team and not wait to the last minute and just take best player available. I think he actually needs to draft with some strategy. And to be honest, I think his need is a number 1 running back. And I think he'd be better off trading for that. If I was Rosie, I'd probably trade out of the second round pick and go get a fucking stud.
See, I've talked to him in very brief about Henry, and my problem is if I'm not getting Najee, to me there's Najee, and I'll briefly touch on why I feel this way. He's not comparable to Elair. He's not comparable to anyone else. He's going to a team that has an aging quarterback and is basically, and Tomlin loves a feature back. James Conner is gone. Here's the keys. Now, he's behind a terrible offensive line, so there's no guarantee that he's going to produce, but he's going to get the opportunities. So if Najee's gone, I don't want the 2. I think the 2 is great for him, but I don't see there being the type of value in the 2 that there is in the 1. Like there's a huge difference.
Yeah. There's the 1, and then there's the next 5, and any of those 5 is like whatever. But Rosie gets trigger shy when it's time to pull a trade. If it was me, I'd probably trade out of that second, get something later. Like, I mean, Ed's got 2 late ones. Maybe Ed goes 2 late ones for the second overall and makes a big move on a guy he wants to I mean, there's lots of things, but I don't think Rosie will do it because he just gets too trigger shy and doesn't want to make a big move and have the league fucking chirp him. And that's just
he did a few trades last year, and at the end of the day, at the end of the day, he did too many trades. I think he did a few good trades. I think he did a few shit trades, if you ask me, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes guys get trigger shy. I've said this: if someone comes to you with a trade offer, it's their idea. It doesn't start in their idea to be better for you.
Right.
It starts to always be self-biased, and that's okay. So if you're ready to hammer it out, there's guys in this league that will hammer a deal out with you, and it doesn't mean you're going to win it, but you'll get a negotiation. And then there's guys that just won't. So
I
that
brought
could be
Rosie a
moved.
middle of the road trade just to shake things up, just like it was an apple for an apple. It was just, and
No,
he said he'd
no
think
go.
on it. No, he was like, "Oh, I don't even mind it. It's actually pretty friendly." And then we just like kind of left the talks there. But it's time to go to work. You don't want to just wait and see what fucking is there with the second overall pick. Get to work now. Trade it away. Get a fucking.
You going to win state? You want to win one of those?
Yeah.
You want to win state?
You got to win state, Rosie.
You'd be
All right.
perfect. So next up on our Draftscape discussion is Justin Valdez, the biggest chirp talker in the league. He sneaks in with the 3rd overall, 12th overall, 13th overall, and 22nd overall. He made some shite moves last year. He also made some great ones. But his draft is no doubt going to be stacked. So I have a feeling Justin is the type of owner that will bring in veterans. And I think that there's some quality veterans available. What do you think?
He actually has he has a pretty old team too. He's a bit older than you. He's got OBJ slotted in as a keeper. He's got Melvin Gordon slotted in as a keeper. He's got a Keenan Allen that's 29. So OBJ 28, Melvin Gordon 28, Keenan Allen 29, Eckler's 26, and then he's got Brandon Ayuk at 23, which kind of helps him out. But I think Valdez could use a little bit of youth, maybe a little bit of
lost Deshaun. He had Deshaun Watson, who he was like his bona fide. Whenever anyone would chirp, it would be like, yeah, but he has Deshaun, and it was like, yeah, he does have Deshaun. He doesn't have Deshaun anymore. No one has Deshaun. Deshaun's gone night. He's going to be getting his RMT fix.
Oh yeah.
But it'll be the reverse RMT, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Well,
I mean, a family show.
This is a year where Valdez is kind of gun. His team's just kind of middle of the road. They're not I don't think he's a contender. I don't think he's the worst. He's got a good draft. I think what he does this year is going to speak a lot of volume to how he is as an owner.
Yeah, big time.
And he was all over the place last year, kind of. I mean, he was good to deal with in terms of trades. He in the years past, he hasn't been. I thought he made some good trades. I thought he made some bad trades. I'm just glad he was being active and his team wasn't just kind of sitting there rotting. So I don't know. Maybe he's got a vision that we don't know about. Maybe this is a rebuild year for him. His draft's pretty good.
I think he's the biggest fucking shit talker in the league, which is great. And he's finished top 5. Well, he's finished top 5. He sneaks into that top 5. Not last year. I think last year was kind of a find your way. He traded Henry out and then traded Robinson out. So he ended up, Odell Beckham and Melvin could end up making him look like a fucking genius. I don't think Melvin would. I think Odell probably could.
He could.
And then we're having a whole other discussion. But with those draft picks, I mean, the thing with the opportunity, it also comes with pressure. So if you're going to have the third overall pick, you've got some pressure to pick. And I think, you guys set the standard last year with the rookie RBs being taken there in a row. It was basically like Elair, Swift, Akers were like 3 of the first 5 picks, were they not?
No, it was Elair, Taylor, Akers, Swift.
Yeah.
Robert.
So I have a feeling we're probably going to see that, and then we get to this next guy here. Ed wakes up to an 8th overall, 10th overall, 17th overall. I mean,
that 8-10 does nothing for me. I mean,
I think he's going to package them. He's actively, I know for a fact, I'll just say it right now.
He's offered me the 8-10, so I know he's packaging them.
Yeah, and so as we get closer to the draft, as we said, this is going in Ed's favor. He's holding an egg that's increasing. His Dogecoin is free. It's pre-Elon right now, and it's about to go pop. So
the shitty thing about Ed is you're Ed, and nobody wants to deal with you because as soon
is it still that way?
I must be, because everyone I talk to hasn't got any deals done yet. I think Ed could offer a fucking deal that was good in the other direction. Like I think Ed could offer a deal he was losing, and somebody would refuse it because they think that there's something they're missing. Like, why does Ed want this guy? And he's the worst player on my roster. Ed must know something I don't. And I think that's a negative thing. I think it works against him more than it works for him. But
you got to earn that reputation, man. Like, I'll be honest with you. If you're saying that right now, I agree with you because I play in other sports and it's the same. But I'll say right now, there's guys in this league that weren't here when Ed won his last championship in 2017. And I'm getting the vibe that, the feeling on the street is Ed's a shark. I'm not going to defeat.
He's a good fantasy owner. He's the
best overall that I've ever met because football is one thing. I'm rivaled by few in this sport currently.
Yeah.
But baseball is a whole other beast. And he won something like 7 of 9 titles in our keeper league.
Yeah, his data collection and his player scouting is second to none. But Ed would be the first to admit, too, that he just trades and trades and trades, and he'll make fucking phenomenal trades, and he'll make stupid trades, and it all kind of balances out. And most of the time, it works out in his favor. Ed's made bad trades. Ed makes awful calls on guys sometimes, but he has so much of a volume that it balances.
That's true.
You do one trade a year, you either hit a home run or you got fucking shit on. If you do 40 trades a year, it all balances out, and you're probably middle of the road, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, but that's Ed. He's just volume.
He's got picks to move, and honestly, like, it's funny that both you and I immediately assumed he was going to move them. Well, you knew because you got the offer. I haven't got any offers, but I just went with that. So
my opinion is the back half of the first round it's okay, but it's not, for me, there's not a lot of fucking, I don't know.
Be stupid with the picks, man. Listen, for me, I'd see the rookies that I don't want anyone to touch, but they probably shouldn't be taken till the 3rd round. And I'd be like, don't care, taking them now. I do it in baseball. I'm like, Noel V. Marte. Oh, I want him. Well, he shouldn't even be fucking drafted. Oh, I'll take him high. I didn't actually do that, but it's that same type of mentality. So that's why I love to get in the 3rd round and on, because it's all value there anyways, right?
Yeah.
So
I might move out of my pick if I can get the right offer, to be honest, which is
you got the 5?
6.
It's a 6. It's right there, man. I mean, you're right there. It depends, though, right?
I've written down 6 names, right? So I know I'm getting one of those names, which is nice. And but I mean,
depends what the guys do ahead of you, though, man. Like, you can write out what you think they're going to do, but if they don't do that, then at the end of the day, you could be sitting on legitimately, you could literally get a Najee Harris at 6.
Well, yeah, so he's one of the names, right? So, I mean, I write out 6 names in order who I want 1 to 6. If somebody goes way off the board and takes someone, well, then by the time the 6th spot comes, I'll be choosing between 2 guys that are on my list of 6. 2 people go off, I'll have more. But no matter what, my 6th worst player is coming to me. So I like that. And I'll be honest, it's probably not going to be a wily vet. It's going to be some youth because, like I said, I need to get my team a little younger. So Anyways, moving on, because this is our first chat about football in a long time, so we're probably gonna have just a long rambling podcast.
Yeah, well,
here,
that's fine. I mean, we can
I
trim
don't
it up
mind.
if we need to. Let's get to the middle class draft houses here, because I think that these guys, it's surprising, you know, when you say a guy like me doesn't have a great draft, right? There's a reason. I'm in this group. I'm starting at 35 overall with the Lamar move. I was barren beforehand. I'm sure there's going to be some additional moves in the weeks to come leading up to the draft. But, you know, I sold out to get that final piece to put myself over the top. You can justify that. When I look at, and you know, like,
So are
I
you
look
currently
at it,
looking to improve your draft? Is that
I am.
something you're shooting
Listen,
for?
if Craig wants to
No
discuss moving the
secret you're
1-1,
moving Henry. You want to move Henry. And it's
I'm
no
not, it's
secret
not a
that
lock, but it's definitely, listen, you and I have talked. If you and I got to the point where you said, let's move on that deal, I was very close with that deal, man. I messaged you at 11:35 on a Friday night on baby duty. And I was like, is this deal still active?
Yeah.
So,
Which is when I went through all the fucking ages of everyone's team and I realized that that's not the move for me probably.
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of guys
stud, but it's not a long-term play. It's like, it's a sellout to win next year. Yeah. Which might be the right move. If Rodgers comes back, maybe that's my play. But
if Rodgers comes back, that deal changes so much. Adams, Jesus, he goes back to being the WR1. I was just watching highlights, and he's literally like one-handing the ball, looking back, like off the line, man. He's the best. There's no one better than him off the line right now.
If I didn't have, like I said, I want him because I like to gamble.
So I want to get back to this. Yeah. So who else has a middling draft? You know, so the guys that I said had top drafts, we talked Ed, Powell, Loudon, and you. You know, you guys all have opportunities. You know, you all have first round picks. You all have decent access to top. You know, even one top guy. When we go to the middle class and lower, my brother, he gets to select.
Good. I think my draft ends pretty early.
Your draft is fine. You were in that top section. You know, you were in the haves, I'll call them. And then the have-nots starts with my brother. He traditionally doesn't have a great draft. He starts at 15. He's traditionally struggled if it's not, you know, a paint-by-number draft, if you will. And that's not a chirp. A lot of people do. But his draft record is not pristine. So picking once in the top 20 isn't going to guarantee anybody anything, but he does get that shot. Other than that, it's trash. The duo has a medium draft starting at 24 and ending in the 9. These guys are probably the best drafting team in the league. One of them. I think that they're, you know, they kind of speak for themselves. And then you get to Reynolds and Jake.
Jake sold out. I'll say that. And well, Reynolds sold out too. Just Reynolds team.
What?
Reynolds team's old as well. 27. Reynolds team is tied with mine, the oldest team.
We know why Jake has, so they have 6 last round picks between them, okay? We know why Jake did that. He's got CMC. He brought CMC in, right?
Jake's got a good young team. His keepers right now are McCaffrey, Kyler, Jacobs, CEH, and Ridley. They're young and good.
And that's why his draft
has
sucks.
Kelsey, Thielen, Evans, Hunt, and Carson. So
why is his draft shit?
Exactly. That's my question. Jake is the second youngest team in the league with 5 fucking rookie blowout studs. His oldest player is McCaffrey. And then I'm looking at Reynolds, tied with me for the oldest team in the league, but he's got Kelsey, Thielen, Evans.
He's tied with you for oldest, and he has no draft. And he didn't just take this team over.
If Rodgers doesn't come back and I slide whatever young, I don't know, Samuel or Patrick or Locke, whoever, my team drops because Rodgers 37. So he's like probably the oldest keeper and that's being kept is Rodgers. I don't think
But easily. Your draft's not bad, man. You've got the 1-6, the 326, the 330.
Yeah, my draft's good. But Reynolds is old and he has no draft. And those guys, I mean, right now his running back 1 is Carson, who's like a top 15 guy. I don't know.
He's got 1.5. He's got 0.75 of a hip. Okay. He's got less than one whole hip unit.
I know.
So let's move on to the state of the league keepers then, bro, because
Yeah.
we've talked draft, and so we might as well jump right to Reynolds. I think with I don't even have him on here because I didn't really know how transparent we were going to get, but we're just going to jump right on it. He's got one of the oldest or tied for the oldest keeper set. And when I look at this keeper set, Adam Thielen is overrated. I think Jefferson's going to take over. Mike Evans, like Thielen, Evans, and Chris Carson all could be not starting or even with those teams after this season.
Yeah.
Oh, Kelsey's 32 years old.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt, I love. That's the type of pick I love, but I don't even know if he's keeper worthy.
Well,
he's not the starting running back in this team.
Yeah, that's hard. Kareem Hunt's a different guy, but Chubb's there. You just don't get to ignore that just because one guy's good. You don't get to. He's gonna get 50% of the touches on a good week. Like that's it.
So what do you like when I'm looking at this team? You didn't inherit that pick mess.
Yeah.
And these guys are all getting old all of a sudden. Like I'm just looking at this going, well, how do you get out of that? That's like salary cap hell, the equivalent of cap hell.
Oh yeah. And I went to Reynolds with a pre-draft trade. He's like, well, I don't want to trade until I see training camps. But I was like, the guy I was going for, you don't need a training camp.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And his fucking value was it blew me away. It was pre-draft, and he was looking for multiple ones plus.
He made a comment in the fucking chat. Excuse my language, but he made a comment in the fucking chat, and he goes, "I'm not trading till August." This isn't a bash Reynolds, but you know what, Reynolds? You gotta win state.
Reynolds has to win state. Fuck, let me go get my ring. Where's my ring? My room.
You want one of these? Can you be perfect, Reynolds?
Oh man, that's funny.
Oh man,
Yeah.
but honestly,
Reynolds.
like at the end of the day, Reynolds, it's a new. The beautiful thing is after the draft, it's a new day. After the draft, the second the draft ends, you get a fresh new cover to picks.
The real problem is Reynolds is getting further. He's getting worse as time is progressing. Reynolds inherited a team, and it was Ed's team or Silva's team.
I think it wasn't Ed's team. I can't remember, man. But at the end of the day,
it was somebody else's team that went to a
It was Silva's team.
championship.
It was Silva's team. I'm pretty sure it went to the title.
Reynolds had a decent year the year after that, and then he's been getting further away as the longer.
He's been in the league 2 years. The first year was 2019. He went to the finals with me. Last year, he was
Silva's leftovers, and now he's gotten further away. This is the year, Reynolds. You want to be able to hang with the fucking big boys in the KFFL. Wow.
Well, he's in the Super Rivalry trilogy now, so he'll really have an opportunity under the bright lights to really show what he's made of. And I think he's capable. Reynolds went to the finals in his first year. That's no easy feat, right? I mean, you've been to finals. You know how difficult it is to get there. I've been there.
Hard, yeah.
It's difficult. So it's not to bash him. It's just, in the landscape of the keepers, Reynolds, I mean, I might be biased, but you've got some work left. I want to jump over to someone else's keepers because I just don't think they get any love, and I honestly think they may be one of the deepest. And you gave him an amazing nickname on air last year, so we'll keep that rolling. The Scarecrow came out of the box or out of the corn patch or whatever you want to say last year, and he sports Zeke Elliott, Jonathan Taylor, Dak Prescott, Deontay Johnson, and Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
And he also has Raheem Mostert, which I could see him inserting there for Deontay potentially. Yeah. Man, like Mostert, Elliott, and Taylor, I would say that may be the second best running back stable behind my team.
Yeah, I mean, Zeke, he needs to have a year. And I think it was clear that Zeke can't carry the load without Dak there as a little bit of a throwing threat. So I think they can get back. Deontay Johnson, I'm one way or the other. I could probably him or Mostert. But yeah, JT's a beast.
And I look at that and I go, I don't think a lot of people are really talking about it, but like, I look at his team. He's won a championship with Zeke. I don't think, I would be looking at him on my schedule and just saying, yeah, that's an automatic win. I just don't think that's the case, and no one is really talking about him, because at the end of the day, Loudon, he won the championship, and I don't know how many people take him seriously, but
kind of a quiet owner. He doesn't go after a lot of trades. Is middle of the road to deal with. Sometimes he'll hear you out. Sometimes he'll be talking and he'll ghost you for a week, and so it's just kind of like, he's not one of those loud, boisterous owners that's kind of in your face. He just quietly puts together good runs year after year. Him and I have done some trades, and
I think he did some trades last year.
When we can get to a trade and we can actually discuss it, it's good to deal with. But I think he's either in a football mood or he's not sometimes. But
he'll be the first to say it. And I'll be honest, I think he is in a football mood. I think a lot of guys are in a football mood after last year. I think that a lot of people woke up, and with Ed's return, I mean, if you were to say right now, who has the top 3 keeper sets in the league, in the KFFL?
You for sure.
And so for anyone out there that doesn't know, my keeper set that I've assembled is Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and then Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, and Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 running backs, 2 receivers, and they're all pretty dominant. But who else?
Silva and Nielsen. I think however they plan to plug and play. I mean, just the fact that Hopkins is a potential drop on that bubble is crazy. I think A.J. Brown's a fucking beast. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to get every chance to be dominant this year. I think
Antonio
Gibson's due for a resurgence. I think Gibson's good. David Montgomery could be a starter on a lot of guys' teams, and they have to pick from those. So I think however they pick, it's going to be pretty good. I mean, I like it a lot.
I do too.
And honestly, between Loudon and Jake's got fucking wicket keepers. I mean,
Jake does. So Jake's keepers, let's just reiterate. So Jake's keepers are
Kyler Murray, Josh Jacobs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Calvin Ridley. And then Loudon, as just said, Ezekiel Elliott, Jonathan Taylor, Dax Prescott, Deontay Johnson, and Chris Godwin. The only weakness I see for Loudon is Deontay. I'm not 100% on him. It could be Mozart. Man, it doesn't really matter to me. Pick one. Whereas I think Jake's got a solid 5. I think you got the best 5. And then I think Silva and Nielsen, they might make a bad call somewhere, depending, because I think they're going to say, well, who can we fucking trade? And somebody's going to go after, and they're going to want to pluck the good guys out of that lineup. And then they're going to be stuck keeping their 5th, someone they didn't really want, but they had to get rid of somebody else on the top of their keepers. And we'll see.
I could see that. I could totally see that. So I'm pretty much in consensus there. Who would you say are the bottom 3 keepers? And it's a 12-team league for everybody out there that may not know.
Got to be Reynolds is at the bottom for me. Kelsey's a beast, but he's old, and I don't see Reynolds in a position to make a serious championship run this year, barring he has some fucking crazy draft. So he's got Travis Kelce, Adam Thielen, Mike Evans, Kareem Hunt, and Chris Carson. I mean, the bottom 3 there, Evans, Hunt, and Carson, those guys could just fall out of nowhere. Like their age. Chris Carson could not play half the year if his hips fucked up.
That's so true, man. They drafted his running back as well.
I mean, if they decide Chubb's the guy and Kareem's just going to spell him, he could lose a whole bunch of fucking touches. And Mike Evans, I get it. He's 27. He's getting older. There's lots of targets there. I don't know. Thielen, I'm okay with, but he's 30.
Justin Jefferson, man. Yep. He's the. I mean, it's a running team. I mean.
Yeah. So he's got to be the worst. And
okay. And then who else would you?
I think Ed's keepers are pretty weak.
See, that's the okay. So and then who's the third? Who do you think is in their bottom 3 with them? Putting you on the spot.
Valdez.
So Valdez has Eckler, Allen, Ayuk, Gordon, and Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
So I honestly
could be biased though, because I moved out of Gordon and OBJ based on my eye test. So right away,
it's juicy. And Dorian, honestly, I was with you originally, and I think Ed would have even been with you. But let's talk about Ed. So Ed has Saquon Barkley, who is potentially the crown jewel, Allen Robinson, who now has Justin Fields, Darren Waller, who's a top 3, Amari Cooper, and Myles Gaskin, who's an RB1. I think a lot of people are overlooking this keeper set. I would disagree with you. I would agree with you on Reynolds having the worst keeper set, and it's the worst because at the end of the season, I don't think he'll be keeping those same 5, not even close.
Right.
I think Craig's keeper set is better, but Damian Harris, Jerry Jeudy, and Michael Pittman. I mean, that's tough.
It's just a youth play, though.
It is a youth play.
Would you take
I would
Jerry
rather have
Jeudy and
his.
Michael Pittman over?
I would rather have that over the
Thielen
big
and
game.
Evans?
No, I 100% with you. 100% with you on that. And JVs. So I would basically just swap Craig for Ed. I'd say that Valdez, Reynolds, in no particular order, and Valdez, Reynolds, and Craig. I think those are the three low guys on the totem pole.
I mean, so the big guy, Ed's got Saquon, which I like, but he's coming off a big injury, and guys,
ACL, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I mean, that could go either way, right?
Yeah, it does, right? Like, okay, you got the guys like AP who come back and they're better, but like generally, you start slowing down. He's 24, turning 25.
Well, that offense was shit.
Yeah, New York's just a shit place to be, anyways. Who's like the O line's terrible. Allen Robinson, okay, he's good. He puts up good numbers. I don't hate Allen Robinson. But who are we comparing it against? Okay, the team you subbed out would have been Craig.
Well, it's Valdez or Craig. Yeah, it's Craig. Yeah. Craig.
Okay, well, if it's Craig, I mean, I would much rather have Terry McLaurin over Allen Robinson. I'd probably take Jerry Jeudy over him too, just based on youth.
We'll
Darren
see.
Waller is good, but he's 28, and is he gonna put up? I mean, is he gonna put up these back to back?
I don't know. I'm
a Raider fan, so I watch a lot of his shit. And he's good. But I don't hold.
He stretches the field, man.
Cooper, I don't know.
That's that, man. Honestly, I'm with you. I just think Saquon, if right now they both said, I want to sell my best guy. I mean, if he came to me with Saquon, I'd have to do it. I'd have to give him something.
It's just the name.
I know, but it's a jewel. It's a fucking, you want to win straight?
Man, Saquon is giving me all kinds of fucking OBJ vibes.
Really, eh?
He is. It's just
you're saying
talent, just injury, too big for the game, on a shitty team, living that New York lifestyle. He's getting paid regardless. He's at fashion weeks with fucking models. I'd rather have a guy out in the Midwest where you just fucking eat corn on the cob and play football than Saquon. I don't know. That's just my vibe.
No. Listen, I don't disagree, man. I mean, Ed's waking up with a team that he knows he has to improve. So whatever, take that for however you will. I think at the end of the day, we're pretty aligned. We're pretty aligned in that. And what that means is there's 6 owners, 6 teams we did not discuss. So I'm just going to say right now, the most surprising team we're going to see this year is going to be from my brother. If we look at his team, if it really comes down to 2 guys for me, Josh Allen, Steph Diggs, but he's also got Nick Chubb, Kenny Golladay, and Leonard Fournette. And I don't know if he keeps Leonard Fournette. He might go with Cortland Sutton.
He can't keep Fournette, can he?
I mean, I don't know. We talked about it the other day, and I told him that Leonard Fournette would be the worst running back keeper.
I mean, I'm not sold on Gaskin because he hasn't really proven anything to me. But if you're like Fournette or Gaskin, I'm taking Gaskin.
Oh, Gaskin's Gaskin at least has his name at the top of the depth chart. Ronald Jones has his name at the top of the box. Now, I know it's a shared backfield,
right?
But the reason I bring that up is because the trade he made last year was moving out Mahomes and Kelsey, and so Josh Allen and Steph Diggs may be the recipient of that top duo quarterback receiver after Rodgers and Devontae pass it on, because I know Mahomes and Tyreek are good, but they're really just they do one thing. They throw the ball really deep and Tyreek runs underneath it and catches it. No one can keep up with them. Yeah. Whereas, Adams is a receiver and so is Diggs. So, I think if those 2 players can continue to grow together, because last year was the first year for them together, I think that keeper set, we could have another, Cody obviously needs to add to it. I don't think on that 2 alone he'll be able to win a championship, but
And I'll
But-
be the first to admit it. I was wrong on Allen. I think a lot of people were wrong on
fuck.
Allen. I knew he
Dude.
had some skill set, but the year he put up last year, I did not see coming from anywhere. I can't believe he maintained that pace. I can't believe anything Buffalo did, if I'm being honest.
Man,
100%, I was wrong on him. I don't
Wow.
even think Cody knew how good. Like, yeah, okay, he's young. He's throwing offense. He could be good, but there's no way Cody, when he went out and traded, knew that fucking Allen was going to be that good. He's a top 3 guy last year every single week, right? So I was
Dude,
wrong.
no
on
one
him
knew.
100%.
If you had known that he was going to be a beast, you would have gotten him much cheaper, much earlier.
Well, I mean, when
be
you're looking at
honest.
Mahomes, it's like Mahomes for an unknown was the trade. So it's like I always go with the known over an unknown, and the unknown just happened to
Right.
be in that realm, which I don't think many people saw coming. Other problems with Cody is Galladay. I'm not into it. I mean, I like Galladay as a player, I think, but
He's in New York now.
yeah, I don't like it. So
He goes from having a Stafford throwing him, a confident gunslinger, to Daniel Jones, who's a developing rookie.
yeah, Daniel Jones is no bueno. So top half of Cody's keepers are really good. I think Chubb is top tier guy, top 10 running back, top 12 if you want to be picky. Josh Allen's great. Steph Diggs, it's as good as a stack as you're going to get. And then Fournette's a joke, and Galladay is just not his year. Unfortunately, that's my prediction early, but we'll see.
Let's see if Cody and the duo have a deal in store, because I could see a deal brewing there somehow.
I don't think so. Cody has no draft, and the duo needs a draft.
He's
And
got
they can't
that
take on
too.
players.
He's got that too. I think that too could be good enough to get one of those guys. Look what
Really?
McLaren went for. I think so, man. I think we're going to see 2 big deals with the duo. I think they're still going to get good draft capital squeezed out of those guys. I mean, I'm willing to make a big blockbuster if someone wants to come after the RB1 and the WR1, but I don't think it's going to happen realistically. I don't think we've got anyone with the resources and the stone combination. So I think what we're going to see is these excess guys be moved around. So whoever gets to the duo first, I know I'm plugging them hard right now, but whoever gets to them first is going to get their pick. Two of those 3 guys I listed are going to be moved out or dropped. So, we could see guys getting a lot better.
I've been trying to make a trade so that I can go out and shop, a little pre-draft shop, but
You need to get stacked up.
I need to get out, and before I can bring in anything in, I got a full house.
Powell, I'm going to say right now, if you're listening to this, which I know he is, he's a fucking OG loyal fan since the jump, since it was just me on Virginia Street in a fucking room closet. He's got Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift, DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, and George Kittle. I honestly think that if he goes and brings himself in a David Montgomery, I mean,
Who do you move out?
George Kittle's a nice
out?
name. Well, Miles Sanders would be my first pick if you're not moving the tight end. If you're keeping the tight end, Miles Sanders would move. He's a Philly fan, right? But I just think a guy like Powell, he could easily add one piece and be in that top 3 keeper discussion. Like, look at DK Metcalf, beast. DeAndre Swift, beast. Justin Jefferson, beast. So
he also needs a resurgence from Kittle. He needs a bounce back. He needs a bounce back. I know.
Yeah.
There's not like, he had a good year, I got to keep him. It's like he was gone last year. He needs. There's nothing promised. Is he going to come back and be that same tight end 2 that he was, or does he slide down? Because if he's a tight end 6, I mean, it's not like other positions where you have the running back 1, running back 6. Well, that's both good, but there's 3 elite tight ends you keep, and the rest are plug and play. So
the rest ain't going to win you state, man. Okay,
that's something I would be heavily considering, is if Kittle's the.
I gave him Kittle a throw in when I traded for the Denver defense. What was wrong with me? Oh my God, man. As many good moves as I've made, that was an absolute that was on my brother's level of Jordan Cameron for a 1.
Oh man, I gave away DK Metcalf for fucking Odell. Oh my God.
Oh
Yeah.
man. All right, let's get this back on the tracks here. So
Uh,
a few things that I wanted to do tonight, as we close down the unboxing episode. I wanted to look at a few rankings here involving a startup league. So basically, like, if we were to start up a league right now, who would the top ranked players be? So I'm going to read out the top 10, and I just figured we could chew on that. So I wanted to ask you who you thought the best player, who the number one player you think would be. So obviously, when you're starting up a dynasty league, there's obviously some recognition given to rookies' age, obviously,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But who, if you were to pick number one right now, who do you think you'd pick, or who do you think the consensus would be?
In a standard point of the standard league.
Yep, standard scoring.
I gotta go Pat Mahomes. I think quarterbacks are the anchor to teams. You're either a quarterback guy or a running back guy. Quarterbacks put up the most points. And
So he is the, I will tell you right now, he is the 21st ranked player. Now, the only thing that's missing from this ranking is obviously our bonus system would bring him up a little bit. But no, the number one player they have is Tyreek Hill.
really?
His average between his age and his expected point performance with his touchdowns are the things that drive him to the top.
I don't even have him as my WR1, let alone
Yeah,
best player.
so the Julio trade dropped AJ Brown's projection, which dropped him from 1 to 3. He would have been 1. But the Julio trade dampened his touchdown projection. So, which I can understand. I mean, they're a run first team, so whatever the throwing options were, obviously Julio's a big man and is going to take into that. So,
Yeah,
no, Tyreek was the number one, and then number 2 was Christian McCaffrey.
really.
His age is 25. Yeah, 25.1.
I don't
AJ
even
Brown,
have him as my number one running back.
well, because there's risk, right?
Yeah.
But he's proven to be, his sample size isn't small, right? So he's been proven. AJ Brown was number 3. Like I said, he's a beast. I think we both agree on that. Devontae Adams was number 4 with the asterisks of Rodgers being back,
Right.
because he's 28 years old. So there was
Yeah.
some discussion on him going and playing with his former college quarterback, Derek Carr, after the contract. So, I think there's still some tread left on those tires. Steph Diggs was number 5.
Yep.
Justin Jefferson was number 6. Number 7 was Saquon. Number 8 was Delvin Cook. And the risk with the two of those was the combination of age and injury history. So, they're both obviously very valuable, but they both obviously have.
This has to be based on a PPR. No way there's that many receivers in the top 10 over running backs in a standard point league.
The thing you have to take into consideration is what's affecting the running backs. The longevity in a dynasty league is what's driving these young receivers up. So, for instance, you look at a Dalvin Cook. He's literally missed half of the games that he's been able to play.
Well, he had a huge knee injury.
That's what Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
So what's happening is you've got guys that are supposed to be good that obviously have affected bias. And anyways, just to close it out. So then after that, you've got Hopkins and you've got Jonathan Taylor. So, you've got a nice mix of age. You've got a nice mix of running back, receiver. I'm surprised you said quarterback, because obviously quarterbacks score well, but from a dynasty perspective, I don't know how you would justify taking Mahomes over a guy like Dalvin or CMC or Brown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think there's more to it than just the player. First of all, Mahomes is young. Second of all, he puts up close to 500 fantasy points a year.
And he's get the bonus for sure.
A running back puts up in the 300 is a fucking phenomenal running back. Usually high 2s to mid 2s is a good running back. So, if I'm looking at points, I'm taking Mahomes, who should be pushing in our standard league format with the bonus, pushing 500 fantasy points. A good receiver is like Tyreek might hit the 250 mark. But generally, like anything, like Jefferson, a DeAndre Hopkins, a Metcalf, a Brown, they're going to be in like that 180 to 200. So I take a guy off the board that's like having 2 stud wide receivers. Not to mention, if you stack that in a dynasty, you somehow go out and trade for a Kelsey or a Tyreek. Your first 3 years are going to be booming.
Yeah,
And
no, it's true.
there's still trade equity with a Mahomes too, right? It's
Yep.
like, I think the trade equity in a guy named like Saquon is almost more valuable than the points he's going to put up for you, just because he could be in a fucking air cast and the name, you still get something for that name, right? So
why do you think, man, why do you think I'm trying to move Henry? Like at this point, I'm looking at it going like the name may be more valuable than what he ends up giving me over the next 2 years.
Man, there's so many guys that are running back weak in our league that should be going after Henry.
Guys, he's the RB1. Do you want the RB1? You can have the RB1.
There's also when somebody's dying to move somebody, it makes you think, why are they dying to move somebody?
Because I want another one of these. Boys, come and get it.
So, yeah, who's your one? Who's your 1-1 off the board in a dynasty format? Are you just going to go with Tyreek because that's what the data says? Yeah, I don't either, man. I don't even have him as my first receiver. I'd say probably Adams or maybe Calvin Ridley, just based on the amount of volume he's going to get.
Man, it's really tough. But it would probably be Dalvin Cook, just because I think he catches the ball, he runs dominantly, and I'm always praying that he stays healthy.
Yeah.
But I mean, outside of that, I mean, it's CMC, it's Tyreek, or it's one of these guys. It wouldn't be AJ Brown. I think you've got a guy there in Julio that's going to be a real pest for anyone that's, even for me, maybe being a Henry owner, but
I think Julio's a good fit for Cody Wilson. This thing on, Cody Wilson. Get you a Julio for that too.
You want your name on what? You want your name on here, bro?
God.
You want your name on there, man?
Give me a break, bro.
You want your name on there?
All right.
Anyways, I think that we've probably given the listeners about as much as they want for our first episode, unless you have any other plugs that you want to jump to before we wrap.
I might do a little bit of player talk here, just like a rapid fire.
Okay, cool. I'll do that.
Your opinion on some guys. You can give me a quick little blurb. Like, won't have to go into it too much here. I was just looking at some guys that there's a mixture of some rookies in here, like how you think they're going to do year one. Are they worth having? What are the pros of them? What are the cons of them? And this will be more for people outside of our league that might be looking down the barrel at one of these guys in a draft, and you can at least give your thoughts on it. So
let's do this.
Some of them are bounce back, or some of them are like, this is their year, this is their time to shine. So like, what are we thinking? So, and you haven't prepped you at all. So this is going to be all off the top of your dome for your football knowledge here. So let's just start it off. I got number 1 on my list here, Joe Burrow, coming off a disastrous knee injury. It was nasty.
I love him.
I liked it too. I was a huge Burrow guy. Took me a while to get a deal done with Rosie, but I was trying to win last year and Burrow had to go. So what do you think?
Top 5 finish. I think he's going to end up returning to form. I think he's the most intellectual rookie I've ever watched next to Peyton Manning. He's got the weapons. I think at the end of the day, if he can get back healthy, which he probably should be able to, I've advised Rosie as a friend to keep him and don't keep young rookie running or young sophomore quarterbacks like that. So I'm usually keeping running backs in a skill position, guys. So yeah, I think that he's potentially a top 5 at his position.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I think Rosie thought I was trying to like swindle him a bit with that. And the real truth was,
did he watch football? Because at the end of the day, anyone that watched the youngster, man, he was he just looks so poised.
So his 17-game pace for pass attempts would have been 700 if they took the games he played. And
did they have a yardage number on that?
I didn't look up the yardage, but just 700 passing attempts. And his offense got better. His O-line's gotten better. He's got Higgins who's coming into his own. Jamar Chase now. And Joe Mixon. He's
Mix,
going to give him
yep.
some fucking.
Mixon came into the league with Dalvin, man. He's not old. He's very, very athletic. He just didn't have a very good year. Bad O-line, obviously turnover in the backfield. So, yeah, I like him.
So we like Joe. Both like Joe. Jalen Hurts. This will probably speak to.
I don't think he'll be the starter at the end of the year. I think that we're going to see his weaknesses exposed. There's too much tape on him now, and he's just not really built to take the punishment, and he doesn't have the skill set to last as a pocket passer. So no, I don't think he's going to be the long term.
Way too small of a sample size for me too. We only really got 3 games out of him. So yeah, but that being said, he was on pace for over 1,300 running yards on his 3-game pace for rushing, which puts him in that kind of Lamar 100-yard rushing bonus almost every game kind of territory. So from a fantasy value, there could be some value.
That's true. That's true.
Joe Mixon, and we mentioned him earlier, but he's
really,
kind of one of those
really,
guys that
really
everyone we liked his name. He was supposed to be good. He's never really exploded, right? Like we've had flashes, but
he's been top 10. And I mean, at the end of the day, he had a shitty start to his season 2 seasons ago, and then he kind of bounced back. And then last season, he kind of started shitty and finished shitty. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it depends on what you think he's going to be and why he changed. But with Burrow at the helm, it opens everything up. And I think Mixon may be the biggest benefactor of his return to form, of Burrow returning to form.
Not to mention Gio is gone. So
I mean,
the opportunities are there. This could be a guy that gets 300 touches.
He's 25. He's 25, same age as Dalvin. I mean, he's got another 2 years before his prime is over as an NFL running back. So
this is the first year I've been high on Mixon. I think everything is pointing to if he's going to get the opportunity. The quarterback should be able to air the ball out, give him some running room because the Ds aren't going to be able to stack boxes. He's still young. The O-line is not great, but it's getting better. I like Joe Mixon this year. You're welcome, Silva. Asshole. Well, let's go with the 1-1. Najee.
So my personal take on Najee is he's stepping into an every down role. Mike Tomlin has already stated he believes in that system. He likes to have a single running back carry the load. So at the end of the day, I mean, he's coming in as the consensus 16th ranked running back.
Yeah.
6'2", 230 pounds, 23 years old. And that kind of draft capital tells me that I think he's going to be potential top 10 at this position, and which is not something that you can usually confidently say about a rookie at any position.
Yeah.
So
I agree that Najee Harris is a fucking phenomenal athlete. I think he's going to get a good shot at being the number one guy. I think top 10 is going to be hard because first of all, Pittsburgh's O-line was fucking atrocious.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the caveat, I guess.
And that being said, too, year 2, if Big Ben's not there, he's pretty much said he's retiring. Who's stepping in to run that offense? And that could be a big, you bring another rookie quarterback in, and Najee barely knows the offense. Right now, he's got that Big Ben safety cushion. It's going to be like, here's some check downs. I'll get you open, do shit. But year 2 and 3 might be a completely different story, right? And
100%.
also, if he can't keep fucking Big Ben off his ass and pick up blitz, like it's a hard transition from. It's always been a hard transition from college to NFL, especially when you have to be. If you're a 3-down back, you got to have blitz coverages. Your pass coverage blocking has to be amazing. It's not just like, okay, here's where we're running the ball. You're going in. You know what to do. To know the entire offense is very hard, and I think Najee might struggle with that. But I see him as the obvious 1-1 just because of his upside. CD Lamb.
I think this could be the year that he overtakes Amari for that leading role.
Me too.
Dak was on pace for something insane, 6,000 passing yards before he got injured. I think that this is the year that we see CD take that number 1 outside role away from Amari Cooper. He's just way too athletic. Now, maybe he's not. Maybe they can both feast as an X and a Y, but
yeah.
I want shares of CD.
Yeah, I like CD too. Thumbs up for me. Trevor Lawrence.
I don't know, man. Something about it says something about it says maybe he's a little bit overhyped, but
Really?
I can't. That's not necessarily a fully informed with my own eyes. It's relying on some, tertiary research. But I don't really like Urban Meyer, and I think that there's a lot of change that happened on that team. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Urban
a lot
Meyer's
of
a bit of a mad chemist, so we'll see if he tries to get too tricky with
Mike
it.
Martz. He was great in St. Louis. He goes to Detroit, and he's an absolute buster. So it's like, I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, he's got some skill guys around him, might be able to make some plays. I think we're going to see out of him similar to what we saw out of like a Justin Herbert. Like
he'll be
a good, but like,
might be better in real life than he is for fantasy.
Yeah. Give him some time to brew maybe. Kind of touched on this guy too, Jamar Chase. Opted out of the 2020 college season, goes number 5 overall, consensus number 1 wide receiver, which is the first time that's happened since Calvin Johnson.
And he's got bigger hands than Calvin. Specimen wise, they're saying he's close. I really like him. I'm super high on him. I just think that the value is not there on where he's being drafted ADP wise. So I mean, if you have a Burrow and you're like, I want to stack that up, and it's a dynasty league, you have my blessing.
Yeah, I like it too. Justin Jefferson.
Oh, that's his team. I think Adam Thielen is. There's only room for one receiver to dominate, and that's going to be Jefferson. So
I think the Thielen era is over purposely.
Bye.
Travis Etienne. Everyone's been talking this guy with me every time they want to shit on.
He's Alvin Kamara light. I don't know how many touches he's going to get, but if he's able to secure the passing role that they've been throwing at him, I think that he's Alvin Kamara light. So he's going to be a good value. I just think he might have to be waited on.
Yeah,
he might have to be waited on until JR is gone.
What about Julio? We kind of touched on him.
One and done. I think he'll have one really great year, and then he'll ride off into the sunset.
Cool. All right. Sweet. That's all I had.
Listen, we've got 20 combined years of fantasy knowledge in this chat, so get it while it's hot, gents. There's a lot more coming at you as we roll out future episodes. But I like this, Dorian. Let's add this to the end of every episode if you want. We can. Keep the public satiated with their dynasty questions and so what.
Awesome, man. Well, any other housekeeping issues we need to hit? I think we've been on air for fucking 2 hours ish.
Good. It's a good intro back. I think it's going to give everybody something to dig into. I just think as we've kind of moved through the league shit, the last closing will be get your payments into Dorian for the league payment, and what is it, $100? $100?
I think so. Yeah, we're still at 100.
Yeah, we're at 100. Maybe we can put a vote for next year to increase that, but I think everybody should pay before the draft. I think that would be professional instead of having. I mean, Chad was really the only one, and he's gone. So, but let's see about doing that as well, gents.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get everyone squared up, and then AJ and I will probably end up doing some stuff for the league anyways out of our own pockets, and we'll add some little like AJ already goes into his own pocket for league trophies and rings and stuff. So this is less about money for us than it is about just what we'd love to do. So
you're gonna win state, boys. That's really what it's all about.
You do gotta win state. I might fire that movie up tonight, or it's almost too early to be this hyped for football. Because there's still a long wait, man. I should usually get this feeling mid-August where I'm ready to go. But
when you got this much hardware, boys, when you got this much hardware at home and you got to rock this thing to sleep, there's never too early to start football season. So.
Well, Valdez has no more players to give you to help you make runs this year, so I guess you're on your own with drafting, bud.
Oh boy, listen to this, eh?
I'm actually going to get on the phone right as soon as we end this. I'm going to try and get a deal done because there's a couple guys I want. Rosie, I'll be calling you, and then Cody, I'll be calling you, and hopefully by the next time we're on here, we can have a new trade to talk about. So,
all right, boys.
And I might even call you, AJ. We'll see.
Wow.
We'll see.
I'll let it go to voicemail, but we'll pick this up later, gents. It's been great, and Dorian as always. So I guess we'll probably do another episode closer to the draft as a pre-draft, and then who knows?
Probably do like a training camp rundown, maybe some news and notes stuff. So
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, all right. Looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Thanks for listening, guys. And as always, if you have questions for us to address on the next podcast, or you want to bring any data or samples of stuff, you can always send it to us and we'll discuss it on air. Or if you want us to do a breakdown of any other kind, like the age breakdown I did. Actually, let me just go through because we touched on top and bottom, but for the age breakdowns, Reynolds, your team's 27.8. Rosie, your team is 25 years old average. Valdez, you're 26.8. Craig, you're 23.6. Corey, you're 24.8. Jake is 23.8. Cody Powell, 23.6. The Wolf or Ed is 26 years old. Joker is 26 average. Silva Nielsen, 24.6. AJ is 26.6, and I'm 27.8. So if you guys want us to do any more stuff like that,
Cool.
look back at things or get data or compile things,
Just let us know.
Send us a note. We'll discuss it on air. And,
Absolutely.
Other than that, until we see you guys all live, enjoy yourself and stay healthy. And signing out.
Happy trading, gents. Take care.
Yeah.